Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video, or welcome to my channel if you are new. So today's video, we're doing a updated version of my how to clear forehead acne video. That video is definitely one of my higher viewed videos, and looking back on it, I'm like, I can give you better. So I'm gonna redo it today. So yeah, nothing more to say. Let's just jump straight on into it. So the first thing we're going to kick it off with is gut health. Now that was a key point in the last video, and it is one of the most important points of today's video as well. If anyone is new to my channel, I am a registered naturopathic nutritionist and I do run my own online clinic, and acne is one of the key conditions which I help support people with. So in clinical practice, I definitely see a very strong connection between gut health and acne on the forehead. The type of acne that I see correlate with it the most is those tiny little bumps. So kind of like they're kind of bumpy, uneven texture, kind of looks a little bit like clogged pores. That's what I see the most linking with gut health. But I do also see in some occasions more like just general whiteheads and inflammatory acne come up on the forehead as well. If it's more cystic, I would link the cystic acne more towards the hormones, and we'll get onto that later. But anyway, sticking on with the gut health topic. So a couple of questions I would be asking you if you were in my clinic would be, firstly, do you go to the toilet daily? That I can't stress enough is so incredibly important just for general health, but it does play a massive role with the skin. We must make sure that we are excreting waste from our bodies and we have well-functioning detoxification pathways. If you are not going to the toilet daily and you are suffering with a little bit of constipation, what can happen is that we can start to reabsorb some of those waste products basically, and even excess hormones we're trying to excrete, we can reabsorb them into our bloodstream. But the key reason this can affect the skin is that our body wants to get rid of them through some pathway, and our skin is one of our detoxification pathways. So I see it so often where people with constipation have acne affected, particularly in the forehead area, and when we resolve that constipation and we get the bowel moving every day and really functioning well, the acne on the forehead does tend to improve quite substantially. Moving on a little bit further from that, I think gut health is quite a broad term. Like there's so many things that can relate to gut health. So let me just narrow it down a little bit. What I tend to see correlate the most with the skin is firstly allergies and intolerances, or another way to put it is maybe even just a food that maybe you're overindulging in. I think that's quite a nice way to say that. So questions I would be asking is, do you get bloating after eating any particular foods? And if you do get bloating and you're not too sure what the food links to, keep a food diary and try and start paying attention to when the bloating starts and see if you can see any patterns. Also, do you get any pain or discomfort when you're eating certain meals? Look at those kind of physical symptoms first, because they are real key indicators if something isn't quite right with your gut health. Also, a couple of other things you could look out for is like excess burping, if you're just really gassy more than what you think is normal, or even the other end, so flatulence, or if it's like really foul smelling, that can also be a little bit of a sign that gut health might be a little bit struggling. But in general, just keeping this linked to the skin, allergies and intolerances can be one of the contributors. So definitely keep a food diary if you think that might be something that is possible. Now, something I think is important to add in here, because I know how easy it is to go down that kind of restrictive route, especially when you're struggling with your skin. Like if you find a food that is a trigger, then it's like, whoa, that's it, never touching it again. And what I want to say is that doesn't have to be the case. So let me take dairy as an example, because we know that there is a big link between dairy and acne in many individuals, and it can be a key trigger for people. But for a lot of people, just because dairy is a trigger doesn't mean they have to avoid it like completely and never touch a drop of it. What some people will find is that they've got to get in tune with how much their body can cope with. So I'll take myself as an example. Dairy is one of my trigger foods for my skin, but I can definitely eat dairy here and there in small amounts and just keep it kind of in moderation in my diet, and I don't have to have that restrictive ban over it. If, however, I was to eat dairy every single day or multiple times a day, my skin will break out just like crazy. So yeah, just getting in touch and learning what your personal threshold is with food, and that way you can avoid kind of going down that restrictive route. You know, take things really gentle when you are playing around with elimination diets and things like that. And then the third thing linking gut health to the acne on the forehead could be something which we call dysbiosis. So that is basically an imbalance of the bacteria in your gut. Now, dysbiosis is actually a situation which is very easy to be in, really, especially if you've been on a lot of antibiotics. And I definitely know in my clinical practice, a lot of people who I'm helping to support with their skin, antibiotics has been a method of treatment that they've previously tried. So if that is you, then definitely consider maybe doing some probiotic support, looking at your microflora and thinking, you know, maybe through your food, adding in some more pre and probiotic food. So I'll pop them on the screen right now. But definitely like just a supplementation of a good probiotic can really, really help. I'll pop some of my favorite probiotics in the description bar below. But just to touch on antibiotics a little bit more, the reason these are problematic is because most of the time they are what we call broad spectrum antibiotics, and that means that they're going to wipe out all that bad bacteria, but they're also going to wipe out all the good bacteria. And basically when you finish that course, your gut is in a very vulnerable state, and bad bacteria, it just thrives, and it's very easy for there to be an imbalance where the bad bacteria just comes back with vengeance, and the good bacteria is struggling, and particularly from just the general Western diet. Now, how dysbiosis can link to the skin is that dysbiosis is kind of the starting point, which can really cascade into a lot of different directions. And when you have an imbalance in the bacteria inside your gut, one, it can lead to a lot of inflammation, and over time that can build up. And if that does start to affect your gut wall, that can lead to things what we call leaky gut, where the wall is so damaged that particles start passing into the bloodstream that shouldn't be there, and that's when people start reacting to foods like that, you know, they're not allergic to. And it's, yeah, if you know about leaky gut, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know about leaky gut, have a look at it, like Google it or something, because I haven't got time to go through it today. Let me know if you want a video on that though, and maybe how to support it, because I can definitely do that. To be honest, I can feel myself going off in a whole nother direction right now, but yeah, dysbiosis can lead to like issues with like your nervous system as well, because neurotransmitters can be affected by the bacteria in our gut. It can affect your immune system, because we know 70% of your immune system is in your gut, so they're not really skin related, so I'm not going to go too off in those directions. But just to kind of wind this up, dysbiosis, it really can just be a bit of a breeding ground for other complications to take place, but also other, you know, symptoms to be popping up, and one of those can definitely be our skin. What I would say on the gut health topic, if you feel like this is an area you need more support around, I do have a whole video dedicated to gut health, so I will link that in the description bar, and I'll pop a card now. So I really, really recommend checking out that video, because there is so many more tips in there if you feel like this point is really relating to you. Okay, next up we're talking about our oily, greasy, fried foods. Yeah, I definitely have seen that clear correlation that goes straight kind of to this forehead area. Don't get me wrong, those foods can also affect other areas of the skin, because they are increasing inflammation in the body, and obviously acne is an inflammatory condition. So yeah, there definitely is links to other parts of the skin, but I particularly see with those real oily, greasy foods, they do really in the skin kind of increase that oil production on that forehead. I see that quite a lot actually. I think what I could probably link that to is those oily foods. Like I said, they are quite pro-inflammatory, and that can, in some people it can raise their testosterone, but it can increase sebum production, and people do tend to find if they're going to get really oily anywhere on their face, it tends to commonly come up in that T-zone area. So that is why I tend to see this link most to the forehead. I mean, I've already said it, and something really just to pick out and highlight from something I've already said is that acne is an inflammatory condition. So if you're only going to do one thing to help your skin, try and adopt more of an anti-inflammatory diet, and that will definitely help you. Instead of cooking in sunflower oil and these kind of cheap vegetable oils, switch it to something like an extra virgin olive oil. Try and get it in a nice dark glass bottle so it's really good quality. Again, actually with the bottles, avoid any plastic, because that can actually affect the oil inside as well. And the reason you want to make this switch is because an extra virgin olive oil has a much better resistance basically to heat. the things like the sunflower oils and like canola oils, rapeseed oils, all these kind of things, when you're cooking them at high temperatures, they get damaged, basically, the fats get damaged, and that can make the oil quite rancid, and just all of that accumulated, and to the nature of the oils, they, again, like I keep saying, they're very pro-inflammatory. So yeah, switching to an extra virgin olive oil is my personal recommendation. And then when it comes to your greasy fried foods and things like just fast foods, etc., I would just say, just try and reduce it first. You know, don't start looking at these foods like, oh my God, I'm actually scared now to touch it because you're scared it's going to break out your forehead. Start by reducing, okay? Because one thing, like I said at the very beginning, talking about the gut health, we don't want to start any restrictive eating. We don't want to start looking at foods and going, oh no, she said that food breaks me out the forehead, so now I can't touch it. No, it's just all about reducing and bringing it back to a bit more in moderation. And I think quite simply is just try and reduce those foods and challenge yourself to add in more just whole food, real foods into the diet, and naturally that is going to be more anti-inflammatory for you. Okay, I'm going to move away from food now and touch on a bit of skincare, and this is just my personal recommendation, which I would say to clients who are struggling with forehead acne, is firstly, in your evening skincare routine, I would definitely try stopping any kind of creams or anything richer in consistency on the forehead at night. Leave that bare when you go to sleep and see if that helps. It's really interesting. Again, it's just something that I've seen observation-wise over time, is that, I don't know, it's something about when you're sleeping and putting a really thick, heavy cream, I tend to see it actually worsens people's acne. And when we take that thick cream out in the evening and just keep the forehead there, like you can still put it on the rest of your face, but just keep that forehead with much lighter consistencies, that actually really does help. So that's number one. Number two, definitely make sure you've got some kind of exfoliator in your skincare routine, particularly if you're struggling with those little bumps on the forehead, kind of under the skin. I personally find acid exfoliators to be more effective, and I think with physical exfoliators you've got to be really careful and really do your research and make sure that you're getting one that has a round bead. I am so anti like sugar scrubs, anything with like crushed up pieces, like nut pieces, anything like that, because they basically they've got ragged edges, so when you're exfoliating you can't see it, but they're actually making micro tears and just very damaging for the skin and very irritating, and can actually make the acne worse. So if you're going to use a physical exfoliator, so something that you can feel, make sure it has a round bead. The one that I tend to go with is jojoba beads. But yeah, in general, I would say acid is like the safest option to go. I would also say a little bit of BHA, so a little bit of salicylic acid works fantastic, especially on those little bumps, because it's also going to really help get down in that pore and kind of clear it out really. I will put in the description box some of my favourite acid exfoliating products. My number one, which is, I know it's hella expensive, but my number one favourite is the Drunk Elephant TLC. That Framboos Glycolic Night Serum. That stuff is literally pure magic. I know it's so expensive, but I can't fault it. It just bloody works. I use it, I'm obsessed with it. It's like a holy grail, and yeah, it keeps my skin so clear. I don't suffer with acne now, but I use that twice a week and it keeps my skin super clear. And when I was really struggling with acne, that was the product that really cleared it up for me as well. So I'm a massive fan of that. But I will give other options in the description box, and definitely some other more affordable ones as well. Just one more point just to add to this acid thing as well is my personal preference. I love it when the acid product has a mix of AHAs and BHAs. So you've got that BHA, which is normally a salicylic, which is going to go into the pore and actually help you know, kind of cleanse it out basically, and exfoliate. And then you've got an AHA, and the AHA are things like your glycolic, your lactic, your mandelic acids, and they exfoliate the dead skin cells kind of on the top of your epidermis, so of your skin basically. So yeah, they do work a little bit different, and I think in combination, amazing. Oh, sorry, actually no, there's one more thing I need to say on acids as well, is don't, for God's sake, overuse them. This is another really common mistake I see, is that when people are struggling with acne, it's like more is more, and if I use it every single day, or like even twice a day, it's gonna go quicker. it's not going to go quicker. You're just making it worse, okay? So acids, they need to be used in moderation and balance in your skincare routine. So number one tip is I say get it in a serum. Don't have it in a product like a cleanser or a moisturizer that you're using every day, even multiple times, because it's just too much. So I like it in a serum step where you can kind of put it in and take it out. And if you're brand new to using acids, or if you're trying a new product, I would say use it once a week to start off with, just to introduce it to your skin. And when you know that, you know, it's not causing any like reaction, you're not getting any redness or itching or any kind of adverse reaction, you know it's suiting, then you can increase it to 2 times a week. So I recommend exfoliating every 3rd day. That is my like sweet spot with clients. That is what we stick with, and that is what I find works the best. So yeah, I do want to say that because I think that's the most common thing I see with my clients who struggle with acne. They come to me and they're using acids every single day, and it just makes the skin so angry in some people. Some people can get away with it, but a lot of us, we can't. So yeah, just wanted to add that. Okay, the next thing I'd also recommend checking is definitely your hair care products, particularly if the acne is coming up kind of more towards that hairline, or I see it sometimes like in the temple area here. This tends to lead more in your shampoo, because normally, I mean, this is what I do. I assume most people do this, but normally you just shampoo your roots and then you just condition the ends. So conditioner, like if it's kind of, you know, from here down, like this doesn't really like aggravate the skin too much, and you should be fine with conditioners. It's more the shampoo, the thing that's actually touching the scalp and what could, you know, even just drip on the forehead, or yeah, or if the residue could just pass over. So just look into your shampoo. What I would look out for is, I personally recommend take out any coconut oils. That's a massive culprit, okay? Ditch any coconut oil. Also, something I haven't really touched on is ingredients in skincare. No, it was in my makeup video. I'll mention it again now. There's a fantastic website, okay? I'll link it in the description box. There's a lot to link in this video. But basically what you do is you go and copy the ingredients of a product that you either want to buy or you're using, and you put it in this box and press check on this website, and it tells you if there's any pore clogging ingredients. For skincare products in particular, it is so fantastic. So I will do that first, and then I will manually look through with my eyes and just look out for things that I think, you know, can be problematic. But yeah, just want to share that website is really great, especially if you find all of this just really overwhelming. It's a really great one. But yeah, you can definitely do that with your hair care products. With hair care products, you can be a little bit more flexible. I would just say steer away from the coconut oils personally. I also would say look out for any of the really thick, rich ingredients. So like things like shea butters, cocoa butters, usually they'll be in conditioners though, or avocado oils, like heavier oils. Look out for those. I think hair products are a little bit like skincare. It can be a little bit of trial and error until you just find the right match for you. Or another way around this with hair products is make sure you just wash your face after you wash your hair. So if you're washing your hair in the evening, then wash your hair and then wash your face and then do your evening skincare routine. That can be a way around it, and that can help. Or if you're washing your hair in the morning, then just wash your hair first and then wash your face afterwards and then do your morning routine. So yeah, try that as well. Now, early in this video, I did say that I was going to talk about hormones a little bit later in this video. And yes, hormones can definitely affect the skin in terms of acne on our foreheads. Hormonal acne can present in all areas really of the face for people. It doesn't just have to be that chin, jaw and like cheek area. But with that being said, I'm actually going to be discussing hormones all in my next video, which is going to be how to treat acne on the chin, jaw and cheeks. So if you want to see that video and you aren't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because it will be up next. And yeah, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you found it helpful. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video down below. I'd love to hear, you know, if there's any topics you'd like me to go into a little bit deeper. I always feel like I'm just scratching the surface in these videos, but it's so hard cramming all this information into like such a short video. And I know from my analytics that people do not watch the whole thing. So I don't think it's probably that smart of me to start extending the time of these videos anymore. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Sending you my love and positivity as always, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.